That intro gets me so bricked up every time, man. I just want to say. I'm half messed up right now.
Well, this is the Sparring Sessions podcast. Welcome in. Today we're doing best bets. We're not talking about masks. Maybe later in the episode. I don't know. Some things might get
no shit discussions tonight. No.
Welcome, Cougs. Usually I give an intro, but some people just barge right in talking about their wieners. How you doing today, Cougs?
I'm great. I feel like a Viagra pill. I'm just ready to roll. You know what I mean? I'm great tonight, man.
Yeah.
I'm ready to give away betting. Typically, I put these bets into my Discord that I charge $150 a month for. Shout out Jeannie, but I guess today I'm just gonna give them out for free. I'm feeling like a generous guy this week, so I think I'll bless the viewers.
Thank you for your charity.
My pleasure.
In this economy, that's kind of at least have them buy a house from you or something.
Yeah, I mean no tariffs on these bets. These are tariff-free bets that we won't discuss with Canada.
We gotta if Alex or Brendan are watching, pay us.
Yeah,
tariffs on these 125%.
125% tariffs are on these picks, without a doubt.
All right. Before we get into the meat of the episode, watch it. Got a recap last week from a betting perspective. UFC Kansas City, pretty good card. You watched, Cougs? You enjoy the card?
It was a good card. Yeah, I thought it was a very good card. I think it was a very good card on paper, and it definitely delivered. Seeing Anthony Smith do, classic Anthony Smith things, that was good to see. Ian Gary put on a performance that was decent. It was kind of as expected, I think. I thought that personally, I thought Ian Gary was a very logical pick in general. I think that his style is very hard, but also I think look, I'm not trying to glaze the guy, but his IQ, I think, is off the charts. I think you can put him in the cage with really anybody, and he'll figure out a way to win. He doesn't really have a consistent style. No. And I think that's because he very much fights based on his opponent's weaknesses. We saw it against MVP, which, again, say what you want about that fight, but he did what he had to do to beat that guy. And he went in against Prates and fought a very smart striking matchup. Wasn't really a crowd favorite, but again, like I said, he knows how to win. And we saw glimpses of that against Shavkat, and I think that he'll always have a good chance of winning a fight. Just because of he kind of reminds me a little bit of like Dominic Cruz in the sense that he very much modifies his style to beat the person that he's against.
Yeah, I agree. I think of him more as like a reverse Bilal Muhammad, kind of good at everything, slightly better striking than grappling, but that's how Bilal Muhammad wins fights too. Pretty good price on him too if you're betting Ian Gary. I think I saw him as low as plus 110 at some point. He closed pretty around even money, and I'm sure Ian Gary's celebrating from a chair in a hotel room right now.
Yeah, big chair guy. Yep.
Me, I did not do so well betting wise. I had Jimmy Flick. Gutierrez minus 140. That was a squad ride. Jocks, Will, and I all had him. He won. I had Pereira round one. He did not fight at all like I thought he would, and he lost because that's how he wins fights, is bull rushing people. And then I had Chandler. By decision as well. That did not happen. I think that was the first round knockout in women's bantamweight in definitely this year, but in a long time. Because I was looking, Priscilla Cachoeira versus Georgiana Nunes wasn't actually women's bantamweight because one of them missed weight. I forget which one, but so yeah, that was UFC Kansas City, and we are moving on to UFC Iowa. Sandhagen versus Figueiredo going down in Des Moines, Iowa. If you've never been to Des Moines, Iowa, I pity you. I've been. It's exactly what you think it is. And yeah, we're here to give 3 to 5 are our best bets. Or call up your buddy calls you up and says, "Hey, will we betting on this card?" This is what you give them. And later on the show, we'll give some value plays, some pizza money plays. Put $5 buy a pizza if it hits. So, Goose, you were the guest, the less handsome of the two, but I'll give you the first bet anyway. What you got?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. First of all, I want to give 2 quick shout-outs. One shout-out to Sarah Palin. Huge shout-out. Huge shout-out to Sarah Palin. And my second shout-out is to Georges Donho, who I don't know why I got muted there. Who took
That's so weird.
who took 4 years off from the UFC, came back, and knocked out Jorgen De Castro, and then retired. And we never heard from it ever again. So shout out to Georges Donho. But yeah, I'll get cracking. I got 5 bets for you, Dax. I got 5.
All right, let's hear the first one.
Number 5 is Thomas Peterson versus Dontel Mays on the over, which is 2.5.
There you go.
You might as well parlay that with Thomas Peterson money line, because frankly, Dontel Mays should not be in the UFC. I think he hasn't looked even remotely impressive, if I remember, since his Josh Parisian fight, which is one of the weirdest fights I've ever seen, with him crotch slamming Parisian in the 3rd round, if I remember. But to put a summary on that, I think Thomas Peterson stinks. And I think Dontel Mays is even worse than that. But I do think that Thomas Peterson has a somewhat decent ability to wrestle, which I think he'll use. Dontel's more of a Muay Thai fighter, although, like I said, occasionally he decides he wants to wrestle, like he did against Josh Parisian. But I think that Peterson will take that fight to the ground. He'll make that an incredibly boring, sleeping decision fight, and I don't see any finish happening there. So over on that 2.5 rounds, I think that's at plus 115, I think.
Minus 150, actually. I'm looking right now.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Oh, yeah, I mixed up with my next one. Yeah.
I still like it, though. I didn't want to put it in my best bets just because I hate heavyweights, and I don't want to I don't bet on unranked women's fights, and I'm now adding unranked heavyweight fights. I would never do it. But I like the pick. This is definitely going over, and you're probably getting some juice because both guys just got knocked out, but they're not going to knock each other out.
It's great because my next 2 picks are unranked women's fights, so that's really good, Dax. I'm happy.
Wow. That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. I'll go first. Or I'll go with my first one. I only have 4 today. I didn't love this card from a betting perspective. A lot of crazy odds. But one I did really like, the Smotherman City fight to end by KO at plus 145. So either got to get a KO.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. I think it's going under. And both guys, City's 7 of 11 wins by KO. Smotherman 6 of 12, but he's also been knocked out. So, I like that plus 145. I think that's the most likely way this fight ends.
Smotherman has a very exciting fan favorite style. He does like to go for finishes. He had an incredible fight against Ryan Hughes with Fury before the UFC. I think he'll put on a very good fight against a game, Sergey Sidey, who's another super excited fighter to watch. That's going to be a great fight that they snuck on there onto the main card. And by the way, this card, if I must say, for being in boring Des Moines, is very boring.
Yeah, a lot of decisions.
I think, honestly, and this sounds crazy to say, Jeremy Stephens saves this card from being a total stinker. Like, I think Jeremy Stephens will get either knocked out or he'll try to make it a very exciting fight, but you look at the rest of this card, and my God, is this a tough one to watch. Again, I think Smotherman's today.
I think Mason Jones wrestles him. I think that's going to be boring.
No, I think that as well. I think Jeremy Stephens is going to try to make it a good fight. He's going to try to make it standing, but knowing Mason Jones and his style, I think Mason Jones will very much put that fight to the mat. Maybe he'll get a submission early. I mean, Stevens' grappling stinks, so that's probably the way that fight goes. But anyways, completely unrelated. It's not on my list. But my next one is number 4. As much as Dax loves unranked women's fights, I do think that there is a major problem with the Santos-Tate fight. I think that Yana Santos should not be plus 110. I think that is an easy underdog pick. I think that Miesha Tate is terrible. I think she looked terrible against Lauren Murphy. I think she can't strike anymore. And Yana Santos isn't anything to write home about, but I do think that she has shown a little bit of juice in her last few fights. She pretty much dog-walked Chelsea Chandler, who stinks. There's no doubt about that. But she put on a fairly competitive fight against Carol Rosa, who is a good fighter. And I do think that at 35 years old, I think she's got a little bit left in the tank, and I think Miesha Tate should have retired probably a long time ago. So Yana Santos at plus 110, I think, is a pretty logical underdog pick.
All right. You were wrong. These two women are both actually ranked. So despite I have nothing.
That's his bantamweight, so yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
I have nothing on this fight, but this would have been eligible. That's women's bantamweight sucks. You know, Chelsea Chandler was ranked, and despite never having made bantamweight. Yeah.
How'd you find that? How'd you see that?
UFC.com.
Oh,
I was, prepping for last week's preview show, and I'm like, no way, that's right.
Sometimes it has rankings, and sometimes it doesn't, and I get confused. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. All right, my next one, I'm gonna go Sandhagen by decision, minus 150. Mm-hmm. I really like this fight. I think Sandhagen's kind of slowing down, but on the other side, Figgy 2 is pretty old at this point. These two guys kind of just go long. That's what happens. 5 of 6 for Sandhagen, and the only one was that cut stoppage. He didn't actually knock out Song. And then on the other side, 3 of 4 for Figueiredo have gone to decision, except for Cody Garbrandt, of course. I think this goes long, and I like Sandhagen to kind of pull a Peter Yan is what I compared it to against Figgy. Minus 150 seems like a good price instead of minus 500 or something for Sandhagen right now. So.
I think that the Peter Yan fight is a very comparable fight to what we're looking at this weekend. I think they have somewhat similar stand-up styles. I think Sandhagen's a much better grappler. I don't think Sandhagen is is nearly as good of a striker as Peter Yan, but I think that his height, his reach advantage is it's only a couple inches actually. But I do think that
2 inches. That surprised me.
Yeah, I do think that Corey is the better striker compared to Figueiredo, and I agree with you. I think it'll be a decent decision win for Corey this weekend.
Yeah, should be a good fight though. All right, you promised me another unranked women's bantamweight. Hopefully unranked.
So now I'm a little worried that this isn't an unranked women's fight, but my next one, which I was very surprised to see. I think this one, I might as well move this up to 1, honestly, at how good this is. But Jillian Robertson by submission is plus 175. How many times are we going to learn our lesson with Jillian Robertson in submissions? I don't know how many times she has to get these wins for us to finally respect her. And on top of that, she's going up against Marina Rodriguez, who couldn't stop a takedown if her family was threatened with a gun to her head. She could not stop a takedown if she tried, and she's, 38? I don't see her style changing anytime soon. I think that Robertson takes her down easily. I think that's a submission early, first round, maybe second round. Easy submission win for Jillian Robertson. Plus 175. Put it in the bank, man. That's an easy one for me, in my opinion.
Call up Reem. I love it. Yeah, I think
Call up Reem.
I think that's how you got to go here. Nobody has really tried to grapple Marina Rodriguez that much. I mean, she's gotten taken down, but like sub attempts, nobody's really gone for that many subs. So
Cuts her down. It's too easy. It's too low-hanging fruit, you know. I mean, Virna Jandiroba, I remember that fight vaguely. And Virna just I don't even remember how many takedowns she landed there, but I remember watching that fight and just thinking, like, wow, Marina Rodriguez really cannot stop a takedown. It was hard to watch.
It was pretty bad.
Jillian Robertson's getting into the prime. You know, she's been in the UFC for a long time, but she's getting into her prime now. I think she's 27. That skill's only going to get better. Those takedown and grappling abilities are only going to improve. I think it'll be an easy night in the office for her come Saturday.
I love it. All right. I can't believe I'm saying this into a live microphone. For my third pick, I'm going Ponzinibbio, Santiago Ponzinibbio, money line, minus 125. I thought about the decisions plus 185, but I think he's got more in the tank at this point than Daniel Rodriguez. He's definitely bigger, and I think both these guys at this point in their careers kind of suck. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
Ponzinibbio, let's see, he's lost 2 of 3 and 5 of 7 pretty much. And he beat Carlson Harris and Alex Morono, which are good. I actually scored the Muslim Salikov fight for him as well. I'll give him that one. D-Rod on the other side, somehow worse. He got. Do you know he is Kelvin Gastelum's last win? Last fight, actually. I forgot that fight with Joe Pyfer got canceled. But he got wrestled by Kelvin Gastelum. He got knocked out by Ian Gary. He got Darce choked by Neil Magny. These are things that do not happen to high-level fighters anymore. And, I mean, I just think this is kind of a good spot for Ponzinibbio. A lot more experienced, a lot smarter, higher fight IQ in general. And I don't think Daniel Rodriguez can put him away like Kevin Holland did. So, yeah, I'm going Ponzi minus 125.
So I looked at this fight, and I wasn't really sure what to make of it. Similar to what you said, they both kind of stink at this point in their career. It's funny. I remember D-Rod. We were talking about D-Rod probably 3 or 4 years ago after he beat Kevin Lee, and then I think he went on and beat Li Jingliang. Like, we were looking at this guy as like a possible contender. Then he goes in and gets choked out by Neil Magny. I remember that fight so clearly. Kind of crazy the fall that D-Rod's gone through, but he goes up against Ponzi. I think Ponzi throughout his career shown he's the better fighter. Is he the better fighter this weekend? I don't know. That's kind of a toss-up. I didn't really feel confident either way. I like the pick. I do think that, like I said, I think overall he's a better fighter. Certainly after he beat Neil Magny, 5, 6, 7 years ago, he was definitely the better fighter, until he...
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, got ill, but
I hate to be that guy.
Don't hate that pick.
D-Rod on the other side, wasn't that long ago. He got popped. I think they called it a tainted supplement, but
did he really? That's right.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. It wasn't too long ago either, was it?
No. I actually think this was because he had a 2023 cancellation against Ponzi, so I'm guessing that was it. Austrian. There you go, real drugs. So
you know what? So that you never know. That might make a lot of sense then.
All right, let's hear it.
These next two are stretches. I will be up front and say they are stretches, but I do still feel confident. They're both dog picks.
Okay.
First one, not nearly as risky as the second one. The first one is an LFA favorite that I liked for quite a while. Kwang Bang Lee at plus 130 money line. He's had 2 fights so far in the UFC. His debut was against a very, very tough Chris Gutierrez, short notice. It's a tough fight to win. Put on a decent performance. Then went on and fought Long Zhao, who's, tough Asian prospect. Put on a good fight, got knocked out in the 3rd round. I still think that he's a very good fighter at 135. And frankly, Gaston Bolaños, I still really haven't been blown away by him. He made his debut against Aaron Phillips. I thought he lost that fight watching that. Got beat by Marcus McGee. That's a tough opponent. Beat Cortavius Romeus, which frankly I probably could beat Cortavius Romeus with a 6-week camp. He stinks. I wasn't really that impressed with Bolaños. I've seen better striking out of Kwang Lee. This is a tough fight really to pick because both guys come from really unproven resumes. I think Kwang Lee's the better, just based on tape, better striker. And I think that will prevail in this fight. So, Kwang Lee, underdog. Again, I'm not super confident on that. I think that's a bonus, but I could see him winning that fight either by decision or maybe like a late round knockout.
Aaron Phillips. You had to remind me who that was. It's the last time you think Aaron Phillips has been mentioned on a podcast.
Aaron Phillips, if you were to tell me that Aaron Phillips was mentioned on any Sparring Sessions podcast, I'd be very surprised. But no, he actually did. I think he did 2 stints in the UFC, if I remember.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He
Upcoming fight.
Never won a fight. I think he was 0 for 4, 0 for 5, but he never made an appearance during COVID. What's that?
He's got a fight coming up in Louisiana. Pack the bags. Raging Fight Championship.
What is it? Oh, Raging FC?
Raging FC. Oh, boy. Oh, Melvin Gilliard is fighting on this card, too.
That's
Jesus
amazing.
Christ. Against Hunter Smith. Damn, that is crazy.
I'm looking now.
Well, that's the week of UFC Atlanta. That's fun.
Wow.
Wonderful. All right. You're going with Kwang Lee for your 4th pick. And for my last pick, I'm going Azamat Bekoyev -3.5. -150. You don't like that pick?
You're going to love my last pick.
Oh, boy. All right. It sounds like this is going to be an interesting one. Listen, I've been watching Bekoyev since ACA, since he lost to probably the best middleweight in the world right now, the top 5 middleweight in the world right now, in Magomed Rizul-Gasanov, and he's lost to Ibrahim Magomedov and Rafael Heretic. Decent losses, and he is this is more kind of a fade on Loader. I think Bekoyev is just gonna sit on him for 3 rounds. He could win on the feet too. I mean, we saw his power against Chauncey Foxworth, the GOAT.
Glass chin, baby.
Glass chin. I think Ryan is pretty unproven. I generally fade guys from tough. He didn't really beat anybody. I guess Omran Shaban is okay, but I think he's a welterweight.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's a welterweight.
Loader, legend.
Pretty undersized himself, and I think Bekoyev has a ton more experience. I think he's probably got better wrestling. A win over Magomed Umalatov, the PFL guy. And I think Dylan Bugka, UFC legend. So what are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, he's the GOAT, basically, at this point.
So, yeah, I'm going Bekoyev -3.5. I think he either sits on him for 3 rounds or maybe KOs him on the feet. Wouldn't be surprised either way. I think there's more of a fade on Loader, but maybe that leads into yours.
That makes this very interesting because my pick, which again, not totally confident, but my pick is Ryan Loader at underdog +315. I'd never pick underdogs that are this big. I might do him as a pick this week in chat.
Interesting. Wow.
And the reason why I say that is he's a tremendous wrestler, All-American, D1, which I know doesn't mean much nowadays, I know, but his wrestling skills are top-notch. He's he's neutralized guys pretty much on the feet completely. He has a style that is very hard to beat. Wrestlers in general, any guy that's wrestling dominant that can take you to the mat quickly and has a really strong gas tank is always a tough guy to beat. I think Bekoyev has struggled historically against wrestlers. We saw that at LFA. He had a hard time with guys that took him to the mat. I think that he's going to find himself on his back foot quite a bit. I was very surprised to see Ryan Loder such a big underdog. I'd sprinkle a little bit of money on that, see what happens. I do think that there is an opportunity. I'd probably take it by decision too if I was going to do anything. Might as well. I think that's at plus 550. Might as well just go all in on that. That's a real bonus. It's a stretch, but I think his style is one that could beat a guy like Bikoyev.
Fair enough. All right. Sounds like we got dueling plays here. Maybe you'll hear a little bit about that Ryan Loder pick later for value plays, but no promises. Yeah. So just to recap, Cougs, you had Mies Pearson over 2.5, Santos Robertson by submission, Kwang Lee, and Ryan Loder. I had Smotherman City to end by KO, Sandhagen decision, Ponzi scheme, and Bikoyev minus 3.5. That wraps up our best bets. No sparring sessions parlay of the week this week. We're working on it. We'll figure something out. Maybe we keep going. Maybe we do some picks of the week. But anyway, we'll jump into our value plays worth mentioning. These are plays we didn't want to mention during best bets. A little higher odds generally, or if there's something that maybe you don't have the line for. I've only got 2 this week. Do you have any value plays worth mentioning, Cougs?
I got a couple that I can keep in mind. Yeah.
All right. Tell you what. I'll just give my 2 here, and then I'll let you run free. Roam in the wilderness, go out to your farm. First one I got is RDR by sub at plus 700. I think this could be a really boring fight. And if Bo Nickel tries to take down RDR, world champion jiu-jitsu guy, I think he could pull a ghillie, maybe a triangle from the bottom. I mean, we saw Cody Brundage threaten with a ghillie, and we all know how good Cody Brundage is at pulling ghillie. Never actually finishing them, but he's very good at pulling them. And RDR, he just gets a lot of subs. I don't know why people don't bet his sub line more. Against Kevin Holland, I think I got RDR by sub at like plus 400, plus 450 or something like that. Looked pretty easy. And then the other one I got is a hedge to my play. I got Loder by KO at plus 800. Just a big line for a guy who's won most of his fights by KO. Yeah, generally that's ground on pound. Mm-hmm. And you're probably not expecting that from against Bikoyev. Never been knocked out, but I think it could happen. He's never really faced real like ground and pound guys. He's faced grapplers, but maybe he's got a disadvantage. So, or maybe I doubt he catches him on the feet, but you never know. And those are my value plays. None I mentioned earlier, none crazy this week. I didn't love a lot of the lines. But what you got?
All right, 2 kind of wild ones. My first one is main event. Corey Sandhagen by submission is plus 800. I don't think he is the highest level grappler. I think he has very good grappling. Figueiredo has a wild style. I think he probably recognizes at this point in his career that he has to really go all out and try to really push the pace on fights. I think there's a possibility that Corey could catch maybe a guillotine from a bad takedown, maybe take his back and get a rear naked choke. I do think that's a possibility. That's at plus 800. That's a huge line for a guy who's a fairly talented grappler. My second one, which is probably a little bit more realistic, but is still, in my opinion, a big number, is Mason Jones by submission. Is still. Hold on a minute. Plus 375.
Jeez.
Mason Jones is going to take that fight to the ground. He is going to take that fight to the ground. He is not going to want to even give Jeremy Stephens an opportunity to try to knock him out. Mason is going to take that fight to the ground. Jeremy Stephens' grappling is horrible. I don't think that guy he probably hasn't been in a BJJ class in probably 10 years at this point. He's been so busy with bare knuckle. I don't see him being able to grapple effectively at all with Mason Jones. I think that 375 is a tasty little line that you could sprinkle some money on. That could cash. So I like that at 375.
I like it. I was trying to see the line. You know how sometimes these prize picks, these underdogs, have a line on the takedowns too. If you could get like an over half a takedown, maybe even, I don't know if you want to go over 1.5 takedowns for Mason Jones, just because like sometimes it gets gets a little froggy there with what they call a takedown or not. But
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
All right, that it for your value plays, Cougs?
That is. Yes, indeed.
All righty. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We generally will look ahead. I haven't really looked at the odds yet for UFC 315, so we won't talk odds. But overall, card, you pretty excited for this upcoming pay-per-view?
I'm gonna be there, man. I gotta be excited. I don't give a shit. I'll be there.
Wow, Cougs live and in person. Can I get a little breaking news too? So am I. I'm gonna be there too.
Yo,
we should link up.
We should link up, man. We should show that B&B receipt.
Jeannie might be there too. UFC Jeannie.
Jeannie's ducking me, bro. Jeannie would never pull up.
We'll have to see. Maybe get some of our sparring sessions. Well, somebody in sparring sessions doesn't have a passport, so unfortunately.
Just looking at this card, man. That's another tough one. A Bilal Muhammad event is a tough one to sell, and then on top of that, a Valentina Shevchenko on Fioro.
Can be bad.
Followed by an Alexa Grasso fight. Those last 3 fights are gonna be tough. You got Jose Aldo, who somehow is gonna get robbed or have some awful decision. Well, no, Ivan Zahabi. I mean, he's a decent striker, grappler. I guess that could be good. Benoit Saint-Denis against Joel Alvarez. Love that one. That one.
That's a great fight.
And then we got to watch Bragatona. Oof. It's a tough one, man.
Wonderful. Hopefully he gets KO'd. Backshot's probably not the one to do it, is he? Oh, well, at least we hopefully we'll be there. At least it won't be like 2 in the morning by the time we'll
on this card, Dax. What's your favorite one?
Favorite fight? I mean, you know what it is. It's Joel Alvarez versus Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yeah. These prelims look significantly better than the main card. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I did give out one that I liked. Besides that was I do think the Marc-Andre Barrial Bruno Silva fight will be bad, but I think somebody's getting knocked out there.
Yes, hopefully Bruno Silva.
We'll see. Hopefully. I don't know. Both those guys are. That
Jasmine Jasudavicius fight, Jess Kondraj, that's a good fight.
That is a good fight. Navajo Sterling, the GOAT.
It's a good fight. Bukowskis versus Kutalaba is going to be pure chaos.
It's going to be fun.
Good prelims. Mallet versus Radke. That'd be a good fight.
That one's good.
That's a good fight. It's a good fight. Hopefully, hopefully we can keep Radke off the microphone, man.
It's no UFC 300, but we'll slam a few Molsons, a few Crown Royale's Canadian, right? Yeah, Crown Royale's. We'll
throw that in with some Coke. I'm Coca-Cola. I'm on board, man.
Oh, Coca-Cola? Yeah, no, I'm out.
Yeah. All
right.
We're in Colombia.
Well, that is an episode. Thanks so much for coming on, Cougs, and sharing your sage advice. Thank you for watching, for listening. Hope you make some money. Hope you enjoy the fights too. Hopefully making some money makes you enjoy the fights a little better. But yeah, we'll see you next week.